listening to Real Radio on iRadio, URI on South Sudan.
A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Zone 72 Youth Program with special focus on the rights and choices of all adolescents and youth. And the program as well emphasizes on the 3 global strategy for adolescents and youth, putting young people at the center of sustainable development. My name is Donna. Zone 72 is in partnership with South Sudan Ministry of Health, SNAMA, Shabab la Shabab, Canadian big discussion right here. And as South Sudan strives to create a sustainable economy, it becomes crucial to explore career options that align with this year's International Youth Day theme, which is Green Skills for Youth Towards a Sustainable World. On today's discussion, we look into the intersection of youth employment and sustainability, shedding light on the future. Shedding light on the future career landscape and providing insights on how young individuals can achieve success in this changing environment. We are also going to discuss strategies and approaches to prepare for the jobs for the future, from acquiring relevant skills to adapting to changing demands, and discussing practical lessons on how to navigate the changing environment landscape and secure a sustainable career path. So, our main discussion for today is on youth and employment. I'm not alone. It's a round table discussion, as you can see, for our guests, for our viewers who are getting us live on our Facebook. We will as well like to say thank you so much. You can contribute on our discussion by just dropping in your comments, and we'll be able to read it live on this program. Now, joining me on this conversation, I have Julius Busiri, who is UNFPA program specialist, and as well have Adol Changai,
a small business, how does government or authorities intend to protect those businesses from growth? At some point, it is some policies that even ends up that affects young people and become jobless. For example, you start a small business and start a small business that much, and these are policies that are in place. That business will not go anywhere. So we must adopt a culture where small businesses are not taxed heavily and are also given free space to grow. That should be the most important. That should be also providing capacity building in different business initiatives, either those who have ventured in small agricultural businesses. For example, I understand there are people who sell fruits by the roadside. They should also extend it to the gardens and try to see how they can grow them up. I think by doing so is the most important thing. But the most thing that cut across is security.
Youth themselves, they need to have desires for what they want in life sometimes, because we might have obstacles in life, but if you are not strong enough to face those obstacles and see the best out of those obstacles, then you cannot grow. So I would also advise them, on top of whatever you have said, that we need to come out and do it, because if we have numbers of people who want to do it, and it is only that the obstacles that are stopping us, and then we can have one voice and say, oh, we are doing this and we cannot do it,
Yeah. All right, thank you so much. If anyone has any input, you're free to put in. Yes, thank you. And joining us, we have Atem Daniel Dow, who is a founder of the SSD Entrepreneurs Association. It's good to have you here. All right then, and moving forward, looking into what skills and qualifications are highly demanded for current current and future job market. And I'll give this to Adol. Yes, Adol. Thank you. The skills and qualifications that are highly demanded for
doing business. I can do anything. I cannot have any fear, even if it means I have to sell charcoal. I can do anything. That is my passion. So any skill that somebody is interested and is passionate about can earn an individual an income. So I encourage anyone to learn any skill. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And as well, we have Gifted, who is a fashion designer, and he's been doing a lot, designing artists for concerts and all that. I just want us to look into steps on how young people can adapt to the changing job market. You're already an entrepreneur and you're earning from what you're doing.
It's all right. Thank you. In the first place, just like what my colleagues have said, like we always need to have a driving force, something that drives us into whatever thing that we do, because you deciding to become an entrepreneur is a bold step that you need to take. A lot of challenges will come your way, but then if you're not persistent and you feel you cannot withhold the pressures that are going to come, then it becomes a little bit hard. And I would say anyone who wants to get into that, first of all, like you need to be ready, because the world is changing. If I talk in my field of fashion and design, a lot of things are happening. Like what used to be fashionable is not fashionable anymore, so which means you need to study the trend. You should always be on top of your game and make sure that you understand like the side or the side that the winds are blowing us into, because innovations happen every day. So one thing that you always have to keep in mind is be very innovative and then be persistent. The resilience must always be there, because my brother, the name I skipped off, but the lawyer, David, he mentioned like something about the taxes that are affecting the young entrepreneurs, and these are things that we are facing out there. Like me personally, I'd been affected several times. Sometimes we get into fights with the local authorities because the taxes that they impose are not even equal to sometimes the money that we make. So which means you have to really be ready, like to face that, and you try to find a way of maneuvering out of that. And if you can really have that, then out there everything. You had asked earlier about the skills. I would say anything that like puts food to the table. And right now, if we see me personally, what drove me into doing fashion and design, it's because clothing is something that we consume daily. If we can look around, all of us are putting on something, like at least none of us is naked. And then like the other things like the cinematography skills, these are things that will never fade. So if there's anyone who is trying to consider, I would say we can look into that line. And then it gets so exciting when I hear of young people getting into like doing the food market, the food business. Yeah, because these are things that we consume. So I think if anyone would like to consider any skill or something, I would advise look at what people consume daily. At least there you cannot run out of market. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gifted Blessed. And moving to Vicky Jones, I know you are a photographer and a videographer as well, and I know you earn something from what you do. What's your take on the same question of steps on how young people can take to adapt to the changing job market?
Okay, thank you, Donna, for this opportunity. Just to answer your question, first, me being a photographer, it was a bold decision and it was from passion. I know everybody takes pictures, you can take pictures, like, you know, it's just an easy thing to do. But to be a photographer is just not as simple as taking the phone or camera to take it. It comes with the decision of like, okay, I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm going to produce. And of course, to know what you're going to produce, that means you need to know your talent. Yeah, and for you to figure out your talent, that means you have to put yourself out there to learn what you're doing. And for me, mostly is, okay, since it's a very simple thing to do, you need to use, you know, the social media. Sometimes we just use social media for posting our memes and all that, but social media is a very good aspect to learn photography, to learn videography. I personally, even if I did the course, but trust me, I became a pro through social media, because I go to social media just not to go and watch memes, but I go and learn. Even on your own pictures that I see what's wrong there, and I see what's supposed to be, how the angle is supposed to be, you know. So for a photographer to be a photographer, you tell a story through a picture. That means your eye is just not an eye, it's a camera. Yeah, so that for you to know your eye is a camera, that means you have taken a step of just not relaxing as a photographer, but you call yourself as that photographer by learning through all these things. And second of it, yes, you might be talented, you need to also have those papers. You know, you need to study it, you need to be able to document, and then even if you say I could call yourself a photographer, you have those papers to back it up. And thirdly, because of where we are, at some point we as photographers we face some challenges. You know, someone seeing you with the camera, like, they become so insecure. Sometimes I'm just doing my job, I'm being hired to take a picture, but somebody out there is thinking I'm doing something crazy, you know. So that means for you to put yourself out there is like you're putting yourself out there with the camera, doing your job because you want to put food in the table, and you're also pursuing your talent, but somebody out there is pursuing you for something different. So at some point we are just chasing our dreams, and the community should give us that ground without thinking negative, right? So I think that's what I can say. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Vicky. And as well, we'd like to welcome Aja Tabitha Chol, who will be speaking for the refugees and the IDPs. You're most welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Right now, I'll be coming to you in a short while, but let's move on to Miss Deaf Africa. Kiden, I just want you to share with us some of the challenges faced by people with disability on job opportunities. And before that as well, I'd like to recognize the presence of our sign language interpreter, Grace. I mean, it's really good to have you here for the inclusivity. I mean, we do not want to leave anyone behind, right? Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for this good opportunity. This is a very good program on the iRadio. I'm going to talk about the challenges facing persons with disability generally, visual impairment, deaf and blind in South Sudan here. There are many challenges, like in the markets. For example, the visual impairment, deaf and blind, many times some of them, the visual impairment and the deaf, they really finish to study, but the problem, they cannot be given opportunities for work. They discriminate them because they think these are wastage, they cannot do anything. Also in the market, if they really try to sell some things, they will not mind them. They will not give them opportunity like buying their things, because they will fear them. They will think that is a curse. Whatever they buy, they will think it will be a curse to them. They also become persons with disabilities. So we are not given opportunities as persons with disabilities. Many deaf, some of them, I've seen them, they're in the market of Konyo Konyo, they're in custom, but really they are struggling, selling onions, tomatoes, but really getting customers is really hard. And also if I talk about the government, like coming to them, getting money from them, the revenue, they really suffer a lot. They don't really sympathize with them because they think they are all the same. They need also to get money from them. Yet they are supposed to leave them as persons with disabilities. Remember, some of them, they don't have legs. Some of them are using wheelchairs. Some of them, they cannot see. And remember, they also need something to put on their table. They have families. So that's why most of them have left their businesses because of that. And also being abused of not giving them their freedom as persons with disabilities. They really suffer a lot. So they should really give them opportunities. They shouldn't leave them out. And also the government should also give them like they shouldn't deduct money from them asking money from them. They should give them freedom. They should leave them and then do their own business, because that's where they're eating from. And many of persons with disabilities, they do have experiences and they do have development to change the community. That's all. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Kiden. And as well, if you're just joining us on our Facebook Live, thank you so much. Keep your comments coming. We'll be getting getting back to you on the comment session. And as well, those on the radio, thank you so much. You're listening to Zone 72 Youth Program right here on iRadio, you are on South Sudan. Now, Varna, let's talk about the role of education that it plays in preparing youth for the jobs of the future. You are a HR consultant, and I'm sure you already know some of these jobs that are really selling out there. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Donna. And this is a beautiful platform, and I see our faces looking so gloom. We are youth, we are young people. We're supposed to enjoy this discussion because it's something that we actually do it, and we want more people to learn from us. that I have expanded not just to be an HR in an office, but also to advocate for the rights of employment for everyone. Facing. And maybe I can say that the challenges employers are facing is minor because it comes to qualifications, skills, personalities. But then the challenges young people are facing is very broad. It includes so many things. And all these things that they mention here, it's like I'm not surprised about it because it's the same thing that I hear it every single day, whether I'm conducting an interview, whether I'm just having one-on-one chat, or any other situation, but it's something that I hear every day. Last year, together with UNDP, we conducted an employment and skill mismatch an employment solution and a skill mismatch bootcamp for university students, and we did it in the University of Juba and Catholic University. The idea was UNDP was trying to help youth in general to identify the gaps they have in the skills, and we chose university because this is where education comes from, yeah, and this is where the employees or job seekers comes from. Every year we have nearly 2,000 graduates and we don't know what to do with them, and the result was shocking. we have noticed there is a huge gap in skills. Many young South Sudanese goes to school because they were told to go to school, not because it's their choice to go and study specific course. But somebody told them, no, you have to be a lawyer. No, I'm not meaning you, David. Then they will be like, okay, I'm told to be a lawyer, it's good. Then they go become a lawyer, and then what's next? When they graduate, then the market goes digital. Okay, is there a lawyer that works digital? I need a court, I need a case, I need a job that is relevant to law, right? And now becomes a gap. Somebody say the family told them you have to be a doctor, and we all know that in the medicine sector there's a huge challenge. That's why you see many graduates of medicine, but they either working in the market doing something else, or they either doing finance job. This is a gap, and this is what we saw last year. And this has, I think this was my push factor to start thinking wider and bigger about the issues of employment, not just being a human resource. What does it mean for me? But to talk more about it and to build more capacity, like he mentioned before. So according to their concerns that they raised, is the education system in South Sudan is more theoretical rather than practical. So even the students in the university, they really want to learn more things, but probably they might not finding the right platforms to start. Because what I know is if you're studying journalism, let's assume, by the time you're studying and you know that you're final year, I don't expect you to really be in class all day long and just go home and then sleep, wait for tomorrow, go to school for 4 years or 3 years, I don't know. No, but you need to start hitting the ground, come to iRadio, I don't know, meet Vicky, tell her I want to learn how to be a photographer, or meet a script writer. That's where you build the skills. But then if you wait in the university, then there is no skills that will be built there. I can take example of myself. To learn how to talk to people, to learn customer care, I had to start by working in the hotels. That's where you learn hospitality. Working in the hotels is completely okay, because I mean in the hotels you will meet too many different people with different attitudes, different backgrounds, you know, and there you will learn communication skills, approach skills, what he said before, concept. You will learn how to present yourself to a customer. Imagine you go to a restaurant and you find a very bad waitress who have attitude. Would you really sit there and eat? That's it.
Yeah, so there was something that you mentioned earlier on careers. Is there a need to incorporate career guidance in our curriculum?
Yes, there is a big time need for that. After the survey, we did a pre and post survey to find what the question you just mentioned about career, and I can tell you 80% of them are requesting for career guidance. They all need career guidance. They need somebody to teach them how to communicate, how to present themselves, and the biggest challenge we have is self-presentation, self-esteem. Even in an interview, somebody really have a very impressive CV, but you can never express yourself to me, and that can just lead to you losing a job.
Okay, thank you so much, Varna. All right, moving on to Atem. Daniel Dow is the founder of the SSD Entrepreneurs Association. Let's look into how can entrepreneurship be a viable option for young people in creating a sustainable economy, given the current
to young people in our country. And one way to escape this issue is by encouraging young people to effectively engage in entrepreneurship. And I would love to start by a verse in the Bible. That verse has really motivated me, in a sense that when you really understand that verse, you will become an authority in a specific area of gifting. The richest man who ever lived, King Solomon, said in the book of Proverbs 18 verse 16 that your gift make room for you in the world and will bring you before great people. If you have a gift as an individual, if you polish that gift will make room for you in the world and will bring you before great people. I will give an example of Messi, the football player. He is gifted in playing football, and people will travel from all over the world to come and watch him playing. We pay Messi for him to play for us. So that gift brought him before the world. Even presidents of countries will travel to watch Messi playing. That gift brought him before great people. So if our young people understand that the utilization of their gift will make room for them in the world, they will not even look for the government to employ them. They will not seek opportunities because the opportunities is within them. And this is what I want all young people to understand, that God has given you something. It is your responsibility to discover it, and once you discover that thing, the world will pay you to perform it. When I founded the Association of the South Sudanese Young Entrepreneurs, our intention was to look at the number of young people that we have in the market of South Sudan. And unfortunately, we are not fully in charge of our economy. Not because the foreigners have occupied the industry. It is because we did not take our position as young people to invest. The market is open for everyone. If I go to Jura market or Konokono market and I sell something, no one will tell me not to sell. So what we need to do as young South Sudanese when it comes to unemployment, you need to look at what God has given to you. I'll give an example for myself. I started to be an interpreter in the church. So one of the members in the church who works in UNFPA saw me interpreting, and then he approached me and said, Atem, why don't you interpret in this workshop? So I participated in that workshop as a translator. Another person took an interest in that workshop and hired me again. That is the gift of translation. It is God that gave it to me. I did not knock at the office of the government or complain that I need an employment. I looked at myself and see what I have, and that thing, that talent has created an opportunity for me. So young people need to look at what they are good at.
All right.
If you are a singer, sing and people will pay for you.
Okay, thank you, Atem. Just another question. You know, being the founder of the SSD Entrepreneurs Association, and just like you said, you've done a research to see how many young people are in the market. Maybe if you can share with us, you know, some of the business ideas that you can start, maybe with a small capital. You know, the young people out there who are really struggling.
I started as a translator. It did not needed any capital from me. So what you need to do is that avail yourself in spaces that market you. The church was a market ground for me. I presented my abilities in that church, and then people who hired me were in the church. So young people need to engage and participate in different platforms that market them to opportunities. We cannot be sitting under the tree the entire or the whole day and expect that the government or someone will come and pick us from under the tree. You need to present yourself in a platform. You need to present yourself in a space. So this forum like this is one of the places that people can see the ability, because we cannot hire you, we cannot give you an opportunity if we have not seen something in you. And I believe each one of us, you have been brought into this world with something. And that thing, if you manage to discover it, no one will stand before you.
Thank you, Atem. Thank you so much. And I think the conversation is really getting interesting. And أنا كمان عرفتكم البسمة في راديو حسن. در شكرتكم. نعم أعرف قلنا سبيتكم ورا الناس المقاسم إنجليزي، لكن أنا لازم بونس عربي. لا أنا أعرف ناس like بارنا عربي تمام. David, I will see. Maybe we'll try. Okay, no problem. So we have Aja Tabitha Chol, who will be speaking for the refugees and IDPs. I would just like you to, you know, share with us some of the common or potential challenges faced by young people in South Sudan or in the refugee camps or in the IDP settlement, finding a sustainable employment or creating jobs for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak to you. Well, I would present from the perspective of refugees in Uganda, because that's where I'm so much familiar with. Coming to the challenges that refugees face in the camps, we have several of them. And I would start by saying that young people in the refugee camp find it very difficult to find job opportunities. Going to school is another big challenge when you actually don't have relatives or different scholarships that can take you to school. So there are a number of them. Some face the difficulty of being in a different country, and that makes it very hard to find a place where you can work when you're actually far from home. So those are some of the challenges that refugees face.
Okay, thank you so much. And I think it's coming about 8 minutes to the top of the hour. You're listening to Zone 72 Youth Program on iRadio Ion South Sudan, and those joining us live on Facebook, thank you so much. Keep your comments coming. And we have heard from all our panelists for today. Now, moving forward, Julius, what are the potential benefits of creating green jobs for young people? Like, for example, South Sudan has a vast agricultural land. How can young people make good use of these natural resources? We are trying to connect this to the International Youth Day theme, which is green skills for youth towards a sustainable world. Julius.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Arabic and fit, I'll be easy for go basic.
No, I'll stick to the English. My Arabic will take us astray, but I'll just mention this. If you look around the world, the appetite for anything green, for anything sustainable, is very high. And so, especially for our young people who are in agriculture, the national market is now very rigorous on checking how this produce was reached, how the production is. Is it a green process? Is it a process that doesn't have child labor? So those are some of the things that that come as very immediate benefits in terms of having a good space in the market share. But also when you look at it, and I'll go back to what Atem said. Atem brings in an angle of the spiritual, God and everything. As human beings, if you check in the book of Genesis, we are set on earth to be stewards of nature. And so anything green should not actually come as a surprise. It's something that we should have done even before climate change started
putting its ugly head in front of our face. So in essence, it's the noble thing, but then it also gives you an opportunity to have a good market share. But then when you also look at it in terms of all the green processes, they actually give a better return on investment, because you will have less to think about the side effects. For example, if you're in agriculture and you manage your land space very well, probably the land will not get tired, for lack of a better word, very, very soon, and so you'll produce quite better, and you'll produce goods that can go to markets beyond the local markets. And remember, we're only 12 million people. If you're producing so much, it needs to go out there where the other 7-point-something billion people are, and should be at that level where people can buy it without questioning it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I can already see positive comments on Facebook Live saying big ups to you, Julius. This is from Betty John. Thank you so much, John. Now, Varna, I would like for you to say this in Arabic. I'm 100% sure your Arabic is perfect. And on the same question of what are the potential benefits of creating green jobs for young people, like, for example, in South Sudan, we have vast agricultural land. How can young people make use of these natural resources?
كل ولايات في أراضي واسع بالذات ولايات بتاعت إكواتوريا كل عامة يعني ده أراضي بتنمي فممكن ناس يزرعوا فيه وممكن بنلقى منه مأكولات بتاعنا ياهو ناس كرفون منو ده معروفين احنا بناكل منه بس لكن المشكلة إنه هنعمل شنو المشكلة بتاعت التغيير في المناخ يعني لما نيجي ليلة مطر كتير يجي سيول كتير مزارعين ما حيقدر يزرعوا اللي هو الناس الجزارة بعرف بيجوا الناس الجزارة كان مطر جاء أول ما بقدر زرع وكان بيجي مطر وما في وطن ناشف زي كمان برضو شنو في مشكلة تانية إنه دايرين موية يعني تغيير في المناخ ده ذاته الوقت جو جي غير وبرا كل يوم ده جيشي بمشكلة تانية إنه شباب ما بقدر حتى عشان هم بعمل شغل تزراعة ما إنه ده واحد من الأهم واجبات بتاع الشباب في دولة إنهم شنو يشوفوا towards green or agriculture projects.
Okay, شكرا شديد Varna. Adol, how can we ensure that young people have equal access to employment opportunities?
It's a tough one. Yeah. We can ensure, let's say where I sit, I'm trying my best to create jobs, for example, and create access to finances for the business people, like the SACCO I created. When I left my job in 2019 from Equity Bank, my pension was 40,000 SSP after 8 years of service, and my savings were 2,000 USD. So I saw that as an opportunity that I should go out and pass the message to my people. Yes, not every one of us will be employed. Some of us will be having chances and opportunities of employment, be it in the government, be it private sectors, depending on how you presented yourself to the employers and depending on your skills and abilities. Others will not have the privilege to get the jobs, but they can create jobs for themselves. So we created Unite as a saving and credit cooperative to save the little we could and finance ourselves by giving each other loans. So there are some banks that cannot give loans, but we say we can save the little we could, and we can borrow from that, and somebody can proceed with their business. Yeah, so we can create jobs for ourselves by doing businesses. I started real estate from the little savings I got. I got a house of 5 bedroom and 4 shops at $2,000, and I rented out at $3,500. So from there I moved on, having 5 apartments now for rent, and like 6 shops for rent. So this is how we can create opportunities for employment for ourselves if we could not get other opportunities in the employment section.
Okay, thank you. Adol, Gifted, blessed. To your best knowledge, how can we have equal access to employment opportunities?
All right, thanks so much. Me, I always tell people my approach to life is different. I always like doing things my own way. So the first thing is, when we talk about employment or maybe access to employment and jobs, one thing that I would always say is, first of all, we need to change the minds of the people and then the attitude. Because me, I'm one person. Growing up, I never believed in being employed. Like that was me. And another thing that I've always disagreed with, I studied in Uganda, and I never liked the education system of Uganda, because just like someone mentioned, there's too much of theory. At the end of the day, you get in the field and you're literally green. You don't know what to do. I did something crazy when I completed primary 7. I was a kid, and I told my father I want to go to a vocational school. He caned me and told me, you're joining the secondary school. Reason being, most of us grew up believing that you must study, get that bachelor's degree, get that master's, you'll be employed in an office, and then you have to work. But as I said in the beginning, we first need to change the mindset of the people. Now we are gathered here. I believe most of us have experienced different stages of life, and maybe we must have been employed at some point, and majority of us must have stepped out of those offices, sitting for 30 days waiting for salary. Like most of us must have stepped out of that. So one thing that I would say is, first of all, we need to empower like ourselves. Like I believe in empowerment so much. My brother Atem, right? Yeah, Atem talked about the gifts that we have, the special gifts. So if we want to prepare the youth to face life the way it is, I'm not going to lie to people. If you're watching or you're listening, I'm not going to lie to you that there are plenty of jobs out there. But I just want to pick up from what Atem said. Discover that unique thing in you, and then work on it. Bring it to the world, let people see. They will pay you for whatever thing that you're doing. So the best thing that I would say is, identify a specific skill that you're good in, perfect it, and then it's going to put you to a place that no one would even imagine, like you being there. If I can give an example of myself, like when I decided, I quit campus when I was at second year because I felt I was wasting my time, and everyone hated me when I said I was going to do fashion and design. I don't know what to do. So the best thing is identify that one thing, be unique, and you'll be ready like to excel in the world out there.
All right, thank you so much, Gifted. Bless. It's exactly 4 minutes into 4 o'clock, and I welcome you to this program again, Zone 72 Youth Program on iRadio Eye on South Sudan. My name is Donna. Now, David, let's look into what role can government policies play in promoting youth employment.
Thank you for coming back to me again. Honestly, every government around the whole world plays a bigger role constitutionally in terms of looking at all the citizens and provide a conducive environment where each and everyone's right can be upheld. How young people access jobs, isn't it? And I felt like my colleagues might have mentioned a few things, but I want to add something. You know, it's not different from the aspect of how young people can be job creators or job seekers, okay? But the most important thing here are policies around that. For you to create access to young people, for young people to access jobs, we're not the same. Every young person in this country, those who have graduated, they don't have the same mindset. Not all of them have the ability to start up something, like what Atem has done and the colleagues. There are those who really want to be employed and get their salaries every day. And this is this culture that we also want to discourage. But again, you will not manage because humans are created differently. And if they are not creating jobs, we cannot just say because they are not creating jobs, they don't have any right to get employed. How do those few people who cannot create jobs, how do they access job? They access job by government putting policies that are constitutionally right for South Sudanese. Today, you go to an Ethiopian restaurant, you go to a bar, or you go to hotels. How many hotels are employing 90% of young South Sudanese? Are you telling me all South Sudanese young people don't want to work? You go to some restaurants, people are importing waitresses and waiters from Eritrea, from Asmara, from Uganda. These are things that are happening. But the only way, and young people cannot come to those hotels and say, who are South Sudanese, kick out your people and employ us. It is through policies. When a government put it clearly that in any recruitment process, Vanna will tell us as an expert, any recruitment process, priority is to a South Sudanese. There are certain jobs you cannot take as a foreigner in this country unless if you are an expert, and that is per the Labor Act. Unless if you are an expert, and you only come in as an expert if there is no any local expert. So how is our government implementing such laws and those policies? By doing so, young people now have variety of jobs to apply for, and people will not look for other opportunities of bringing labor force from outside to this country. Because I cannot go to Kenya today and start working. Look at policies around work permit. How many citizens of different countries that get in here and they get work permit from day one by corrupt officers, and they start taking jobs. There are young people who are educated, can do that job, but they cannot get it. So policies are very important. Second thing of how young people can access job is our government practicing fighting corruption. Because this country is so much indulged in corruption, and young people cannot talk because we fear. That corruption does not enable any other qualified young person in his field to apply for that job and get it, because people bring their sons, their daughters, whoever they bring and put them there. And this is very common in government jobs, to be very honest, or in national corporations. You have seen so many sagas happening on Facebook where you've seen a list of people employed in Nilepec, employed in this. I don't want to dive there, but these are realities, and we must speak such things. They are not allowing young people to access job. And if we are to access job, such certain things have to be tackled. There is a level at which corruption has to be fought, and policies have to be put in place. Then we dive back to the idea of informing young people to be job creators, because even when Aleko creates a job, she employs somebody at selling her fruits. What does City Council say? The tax system in this country is very crippled. Boma is collecting, City Council is collecting, national government is collecting, Payam is collecting, and this is a business that could be producing only 25,000 per a day. Someone is giving you assessment form for 700,000. Where are you going to get that? Those are the things that are not allowing our young people to access jobs. Last year, I remember I stepped in as a lawyer and went for a young person who was arrested. Some of you are aware. He's a photographer. His shop was locked for not paying a certain amount of money. And by the time we're walking that shop, the table of Kibir is already go full to Kentucky. Zaman am go full to Kentucky de. Gurus al mufrut kanita biligo fi zaman dakde. Tama biligo. Yala baden nas kubar bonus gali Shabab tanna de. Mukto mon bas fi sunu fi politic, fi community, fi division. Madara mu business. Lakin business sukar abuzol gamu de. Kaman derga ngarofu go fi brusto. Baby garo be juba na gonusa.
Okay.
You see?
David?
Yes.
It's a mention Kalamta City Council. And I've hosted so many different people who are, okay, I want to start a business. But when I can't no just everybody go gurus enough. How can we deal with that really? These young people there by the businesses there. Is there a smooth way that we can really work with that?
Honestly, it is policies. Recently, the National Constitutional Amendment Committee that I sit as a youth representative was amending what we call the National Revenue Authority Act. And I remember a number of young people contributed. We had to sit down for 2 days to look into the act, those few who might have been given the opportunity, and make our recommendations of how we feel like. Everything is about policies. That the government has to prioritize policies where it looks and knows that they have 72% of the population is young people. And if the 72% of your population as a government is young people, what do? You cater for them. But because we are divided on tribal lines and ethnicities, we are confused by our politicians, we cannot prosper. Today his shop is closed, nobody's going to say anything, that's it. If David comes as a lawyer and I talk, there is a lot of confusion and blah 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 until his business is dead. So let's believe that City Council has its mandate, but there are individuals in that institution that don't really care about young people's jobs.
Shukran Shadi David. When I say anas kitir bada business, lakin ta kan fikir kalam de it becomes so hard. Nasta ningi bada tebi hajat fijua. Asante mabara bare na mosh. Yeah. Okay, Aleko, excuse me. You are self-employed and as well you have a career. How can young people balance that career, aspirations with need for maybe business?
All right, I'm Rachel Alek and they call me Aleko, so I'm popularly known as Aleko. I'm a street fruit seller. So I sell fruits on the street, but I'm a journalist. I'm a professional journalist. I'm one of the weird person like this guy who said it. Yalla bad share, with government salaries and all that. And a big guy, salary they get delay and it doesn't come on time. And I have kids and I'm a widow. So I was like, okay, in a state of screaming in this luxurious office, so many people are dreaming to work for the University of Juba and other places. And I decided to quit my job. So crazy to other people, right? I quitted my job and then I started selling fruits on the roadside. The reason was, I know when I'm selling, it would not be like waiting for a whole month or 3 months to get the salary. I'll at least have something on a daily basis to feed my kids and myself. Then I connect my career and what I'm doing on the roadside. In journalism, better communication is one of the ways forward. So I use my skills in journalism to talk to my customers, and being polite is one of them. And I would advise any youth outside there that is having business or you having services that you deliver, be polite. Being polite will never burn your mouth. Right now, to be very honest, I'm having people on my table. They are ministers in the national government. But because of the way I talk to them, They are coming to me. I know there are so many youth also out of their pride. They look at me and they be like, oh, look at you, someone with a degree selling fruit in this dusty road. Maafe mushkila. At the end of the day, what is important is that I'm paying for my kids and myself. All I know is that pride will never pay bills for you. It will never. And as a Junubi, you have to think properly. Every single day I'll add to him what he said earlier. Tim has mentioned one of the best points, and I was like, amen. I was saying amen like we are in the church. Because I'm one of these people. Since I started my life, I grew up in a refugees camp. I did my high school and primary. And when I was in high school, I was teaching as an adult education teacher. And in the morning I go to school, in the evening I teach. And my life was not that bad. You know, they would see me and they're like, oh, she's a spoiled girl. But I know what I was doing. When you stand out in the community, they will look at you at a different angle. But I really didn't care. After I joined the university and graduated and all that, I continued to do my thing. I started a women magazine called Really Woman Magazine. And because of the economic crisis and the taxes and all that, I could not manage, because we didn't even have better printers in the country then. So I could not continue to do my printing the magazine. But I thank God for the creativity. My magazine took me to the US, it took me to Japan, it took me to Nigeria, and so many countries that I visited. It's because of creativity. So loita Shabab bara inang mata gene ugali city council bengar ngar kelingar ngarita zadu ngar ngarumondo fiteriga mosh. Yeah, definitely. So it is all about creativity. So I joined my skills from journalism and being I've never studied anything about business, but you know, I have a very high force and the desire to be independent. It's one of the things, because I will not say, oh, my dad is a general. Yes, my dad is a general, but what is the salary helping him anyway? Yeah, and it has nothing to do with me, because he has a lot of kids. So I should not be taking the pride and put it as like a jacket abiyat on my bag every single day. So yeah, Shabab talta kumbara and do something. This is your country. Lo country take le shala lo ita gikudu famu ka Shabab le mandazi gadri saba. Mushkila we na kriyom de gurusha au muhim dema gali you are a journalist relation. Yes, be proud, but make sure you eat, because pride with an empty stomach is useless. Malish.
Thank you, Aleko. Very, very important right there. Now, when we talk about employment or looking for a job out there as a young person, there are some challenges. Varna, I'm coming to you. Some work policies or HR policies do not really favor young people. For example, there is a job advert put out there, but again they're asking for 10 years experience. Where will these young people get the experience from, especially the fresh graduates?
Taino Donna, kanta gijubu shikil barnamij zere. Employment and employment youth keda jadi gani يوم كامل ما يتنين ساعة.
I know, right?
Because حاجات الجروب رسالة كتير بصراحة، يعني في كمية من أمثلة، كمية من مشاكل، كمية من معلومات youth they need to really know. And your question just spoke to my mind. When ATEM in particular, I think today your point was in place. Everyone will take a pick from it. And also David was mentioning about policies. So I immediately had that in mind, because that was
so I read your mind.
You did it. you successfully did it. Last year I had the same issue on this particular question. I was searching for so 2021 I established a recruitment company to help young people get jobs. And the idea from why I had this company is because the likes of Gifted, I had a principle and a concept personally that not everyone who has a degree has the experience, and not everyone has the experience has the degree. I have interviewed people with PhDs and they cannot present themselves. So I am trying to tell people, hey, if we are advertising for a job, we should not make that as compulsory, must have a degree. But the skills are essential. You cannot escape. The experience, essential. Because we need the experience, right? That's all what you need to get the job done. And that issue came because I realized as I'm helping youth getting jobs, and I successfully, thank God, I really helped few of them get jobs.
and up to now they're still working in a very good positions, very good NGOs, and alhamdulillah. But female were not applying for jobs, and that's where that question came into my mind and came an issue. I started wondering, why do females don't apply for a job? And then you see an organization puts an app out there and they say must have BA in da 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 da, or equivalent to, or master's degree or equivalent to, you know, and then 10 years experience. Then you start wondering, when did South Sudan become a country? That's when, that's how I calculate. I'm like, okay, we're just 12 years or 11 years ago, right? So when did this somebody started, meaning you're not actually looking for young person. Manati, you're looking for somebody who is age 40 and above. Maybe there they have the 10 years experience. But that advert will never favor a young person, because youth are just now getting, say 5 years, yes, because it's just 2019, it's 5 years down the road, right? But that you put 10 years, it becomes an issue. Then I started wondering. That's one. Again, I saw one organization, I'll not mention the name, but it's a faith-based organization. It's okay, they advertise for admin assistant. Very simple job. I'm like, nice. There are many people need job. Let me take that advert and I share it in my platforms. Then as I was reading, I read down, then I found that they say, must come with a testimonial from the church. Then, now that was I was like, I packed this advert very well. I've been engaging also with IOM. We discussing the same issues of labor migration, which he was talking about before mentioning foreigners coming into jobs. This has a positive side as well, by the way. So in that engagement, we had labor ministry, and one of the staff, we were having lunch. Then I asked her, by the way, who are the people approving those adverts? Do they really read what is written in the adverts? And she told me her concern, which I will not mention. Then she said, yeah, that's an issue. I'm like, oh yeah, can you read for me this advert yourself? I showed her from my laptop to read it. I told her, assume we have really talented, skillful, experienced young person or people want to apply for this job. But not necessarily they have to be born again. Not necessarily they have to be in the church 24/7. Or maybe they are not close to some pastors. Not everyone have the courage to be close to some priest or pastor, right? So what will they do? Then she's like, has this come out of our ministry? Then I told her the stamp is up there, so it was short. Now that's where this thing comes in. I'm like, okay, we have a problem. If you allow an organization, I'm okay with them to be faith-based organization, totally fine, but then making it a condition for you to go to get testimony. I can just lie. I can wake up one morning and say, I saw Jesus in my dream, and Jesus said, tomorrow I'm getting this job. Pastor, can you write that down for me? Here, what have you done? You have created another liar to get a job. So.
Wanda, thank you. One more question though. That beats me. Do we have an association of HRs, or do you HRs sometimes come together to address these kind of issues?
We don't have association of HRs, but we have recruitment companies, which is yet not fully regulated, because even our Labor Act is not regulated. I think I all know this. But it's on the way, in the process now. They're doing, by the way, Ministry of Labor is trying their best now to achieve some things. But we have recruitment agencies who, some of them, be careful, some of them are doing good job, and some of them are not actually doing good job. So it's a long way to go for human resource system to be regulated in South Sudan.
I think there's really need for HR association if we really want to address youth challenges, because even sometimes I had a conversation with one of the young persons. When we put these adverts out there, the job description has a lot. And how do I put it? When you look at it, you feel like I'm back in the ram and all day.
Yes.
Because the language in it is so complicated, and I mean it's crazy.
It's scary. She's right, because I recruited one boy who works in a restaurant, but you know why I took him? He has been really looking for a job for a very long time, and he couldn't get. And every time I repeatedly go to that particular restaurant, he was very super active, always smiling, have a very good approach. He's just excellent. And without a second thought, I decided to pick that person and just get him a job. So a young person to just now go get a job advert from NGO Forum, and you will see how NGOs put really their advert. It's so scary. You read all these things, master's degree, big language, and they'll be like, no, that's not for me. I'm not applying. And also there is one last thing is, by the time most organization, I want to be very, very bold about this particular point, most organization, by the time they put an advert up there, they already have somebody in place. So that advert is put up there for formality and just to avoid questions from the government authorities.
Yeah.
Simple as that. That's why you don't get a job for a long time.
Thank you, Verna. I think that's another point that really needs a whole day to talk about. But I really wanna thank you so much. Yes, Julius has something to say.
I'd like to add one thing. The 10 years experience, and I want to say this. Verna is just next to me. I don't think there is a golden rule that says start getting experience after school. So I want to encourage young people. For me, this is what I did. From my A-levels, I started volunteering. And by the time I was finishing my undergraduate, I had 5 years of experience. Untangible experience, not just putting it on my CV, but doing voluntary work out there. I was in Jinja, in Uganda. But I'll bring it here. I have in my house right now. I have two young ladies who are in S1, and I'm pushing them. Yesterday they got their holidays, and I told them I'm going to assign them work, and they need to take it as work that is on the learning curve. I'll tell you, I see those adverts that have everything written, and it's like 2 pages of work. But anyone who reads those things, if you've been actively serving, whether in church, whether in a restaurant, whether in a supermarket, you realize that when you read between the lines, it's the same thing. So for me, I would encourage young people, in between holidays, these long holidays, let them take up simple roles in restaurants, like what you said about the politeness. You will never learn politeness on your graduation day. You have to learn it before. And so when you present yourself, of course, people will say 10 years experience and all this. Maybe when they count it numerically, they may knock you out. But one day,
I want to elaborate on what he is saying, and I've said it before here in iRadio. Culture is a challenge at some point, and I'll give an example. There is a person whom I know. So I told him that while your daughters are in holiday and they are not in school, why don't you allow them to work as waitresses? Because I know a specific restaurant, and I was surprised. They will be exposed to men. You see? So culture at some point hinder the employment. You talk to your father that I want to do this work, your father will tell you, you want to embarrass me before the community, and then, you see? So we need to amend some of the cultures as South Sudanese, because if we don't amend these cultures, it will hinder many young people to get opportunities, especially women are victim of that. If a lady says that I want to work as a waiter in a restaurant, the first thing that comes to the mind that you will be exposed to men. You see? So that is what we need to discourage. We need to tell our community that it is okay for a young lady to start from scratch. And this is where experience comes. But if we keep them in the house and then when they become elderly, they will not be able to do anything because they did not acquire skills when they were young. Another thing also I want to tell young people when it comes to getting jobs, you need to invest in yourself. I'll give an example. When the government of Central Equatoria appoint Calistio as the mayor of Juba, he came with a policy that he wanted to beautify the city, and he forced majority of shops to design their shops with cladding materials. All of us, we know that it wasn't a good decision to some people who are in the business market. But if you go to Konokono now, it looks very beautiful. And what I want to emphasize is that that decision created an opportunity for a specific group of young people. The MTC, Multi-Training Center, they graduated a group of young people on mechanic and engineering. When Callisto decided that, immediately it has opened new doors, and you see all young people designing this beautiful cladding that we are seeing. So imagine if these young were not capable enough of doing that, they would have missed the opportunity. So while we are waiting the government to come up with policies that favor us, invest in yourself, and God will give you something that will take you out of poverty. Yeah.
Thank you, Atem. He always mentioning God. I think we're all blessed, yeah. Thank you so much. And just a few comments on our Facebook Live here. This is from Zufan. You are like, challenges here are all categorized as corruption. Let people see corruption at their level and let them try to solve it.
Honestly, technology plays a very big role in transformation of society. It cut across everything, and to be very honest, you can see even the phones we use these days is technology. People created it, and a lot of young South Sudanese are very talented. They just need an avenue where they can do a lot of stuff. For example, if you come up with a company that produces eyeglasses or produces phones or TVs, you would see it will create a big market for young graduates from University of Juba or any other university to venture in and also get job employment. If you look, for example, I remember, was it last year or some other year, we have a group of young people who travel to the US and participate in the robotic game or something, if I remember very well. And they were being trained by someone at University of Juba. So, and I look at them, I said, oh my God, these young people, if they have the capacity to be trained well, they could be the next people who are inventing so many different things. So to me, I believe technology is very important. Today you are able to communicate with your grandfather in the village. Early 2000s, there was nothing like that. There was nothing like that. You have to wait and travel days before you meet with other people. And also recently we have seen young people doing so much in creating soap. I remember during the time of Corona, people had to put like where you don't have to touch on something, but you have to like step on something and pause for you. That is like being innovative in idea. That is being creative. And you have seen even the rakshas young people are driving these days. I remember one of the weekend I saw kids, they like got a rasta raksha, and they put some kind of nice glasses and is looking a bit, well, they have not worked on the engine, but the idea that came with to make your raksha look unique among these people. Look at that kid. If you give that kid capacity building, he can even create more other things than that. So I believe technology plays a bigger role, and it gives young people an opportunity to expand their knowledge and even create more things that they are not able to create, you see. So I really believe in technology and something that we can impact on. And so my message would be urging University of Juba and other universities to invest so much in technology, in making sure that we prioritize technology. today in Korea, if you go to North Korea and South Korea, they are training their kids on atomic chemicals, on they just beat science, because the country's head is about producing rockets and all those stuff. I'm not saying we should do that, but of course, can we put in our mind, in the mind of the next generation, that they must be in the lines of embracing technology, and that begin from primary school to the university. By doing so, we'll put this country in a better place.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, David. I think Aja has something to say. Yes, Aja.
Yes. Basing on the issue of technology, I think I will take you back to 2020. During COVID time, I came up with an initiative of taking jerrycans to the refugees in 3 different refugee camps in Uganda. And what made it very easy for me was that I had so much a number of people that we were working on, and that work was made simple because of technology. And because of that that initiative that brought us together, we took a very full truck of jerrycans to 3 refugee camps. That was made possible because of technology. Coming to the second part of it is that personally, as I am a writer, I don't know if you people have ever come across the book, The Woman of Kush, My Country in One Piece. That is one of my books, and I'm working on more books. The reason as to why I brought this issue in is that even during COVID-19, I had time where I attended classes online. Then at the same time, I did writing during the night and could send to some of my editors that could look through it. That was made simple because of technology. But without technology, nothing of that kind would ever work. So as young South Sudanese, I believe to maintain a good position in this coming season, because world is evolving every single time, things are changing. And as young people, for us to catch up and to take South Sudan to another level, we have to embrace technology. We have to embrace working with people that we cannot see. We have to do things that other countries are doing. But then we have this challenge of South Sudanese thinking that every single time we have to remain in the same culture every single year. It is really painful, you guys. Yeah, we have to do something. We have to embrace technology to make sure South Sudan goes to another level. So, and the last part that I can add is that as young South Sudanese, it has become very difficult for us to have a great moment of meeting together to share views on what we can do and how we can live this country. But I think with technology, we can come up with different platforms that we can use to mentor ourselves. If it is someone who is good at speaking, like our brother Tim Daniel, he will tell us that this is what I do as a speaker, and this is how I want you people to do it. If it comes to things concerning law, David can take that part. I think it would be better for us rather than just coming on single days here, talk about them and go back. It would be good for us to use that platform.
Thank you, Ajay. And make sure you check out her books as well. All of us, we should check out. And yes, thank you so much. Yes, Gifted.
Okay, thanks so much. I just want to pick up from where David left, and we're talking about innovations and technology, and that is one thing that drives me crazy. And if you've been to University of Juba, I was going to say Juba University, if you've been there recently,
Juba.
It's okay. There's what we call Unipod, like it's an innovation hub that had been launched, and yeah. They've launched the Innovation Hub, and I happened to talk to some of the brains behind it. And if you hear like their driving factor, it's some of the things are the very things that we're talking about here. And my reaction on innovation and technology, like we need to embrace it, because majority of us have said a lot about the technology, but then when we talk about being innovative, it comes back to ourselves. Like I got a lot of comments and critiques like a few weeks ago, and trust me, I was almost losing myself. Like I decided to challenge myself. I've been talking too much about this lately. I don't know why. Like I look at my people, I'm a Kakwa, and I've always loved and admired the Mundari culture. And like I am one of the people that always putting on that Mundari attire. So one time I sat in my room, I was like, okay, I'm always putting on the Mundari wear. People think they keep talking to me in the language. How about I do something for the Kakwa people, so that when I put on it, they'll be like, okay, that is the Kakwa. And trust me, like when we talk about technologies and the things that are changing, like without changing the mindset, it gets a little bit so hard. So I decided to work on my own concept, and then I presented it to the society, and it was funny. Some people are like, okay, why can't you modify the leaves and we put on it? So so just imagine you put on the leaves, you're coming to iRadio with this hot sun of Juba, you reach somewhere, all of them is dried up. What is going to happen? So like when we talk about innovations, like to whoever person that is listening or watching right now, I want to say that let us take it so serious, because that is what drives the world right now. Even like we are seated here, we're being there's coverage being done. One time someone sat and thought of the idea of the camera, someone thought of the idea of the mic. So when he talks about when you're talking about innovations, we should not limit ourselves, but we should think broadly. Even if it's like modifying what is already existing, that is still part of innovation, just like what David said about the Raksha guy.
Thank you, Gifted. We have a
interpreters, because a deaf person cannot work without a sign language interpreter, cannot do anything without a sign language interpreter. And also building the ramps for persons with disabilities, like those ones who cannot walk, those ones who are using wheelchairs. The same time, actually, we are soon preparing International Deaf Awareness Week. We normally clean the city. Why? Because we really want to change our community. We want to make sure that the other youth see that disability is not inability. And also having inclusivity in all programs. They should include all persons with disabilities, because most of us have experiences. Most of them are seated. Home, they don't do anything. And some, what they decided, most of us, they can also do some, they can get trainings on carpentry, different programs like fashion and design. They can really do that and change the environment. So what I really call for, the government should stop getting money from persons with disabilities. They should leave them and then they work, because what they get, it's small. And also getting someone in the parliament, a person with disability, to work in the parliament. if the deaf person should also have a sign language interpreter, or if he's a visual impaired person, should also get a social worker who can help him or her in the parliament. Because we are nothing without something. So that's why really people should be aware about persons with disability and all other NGOs and international NGOs. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Kiden. I know that we have all contributed positively for the development of the country, but I just want us to look into some of the specific success stories of young people who have achieved sustainable careers in changing South Sudan. Anyone can come in. Yes. Thank you. Okay, yes, Josephine still has something to say.
For example, I've forgotten something small. For example, how I really, what made me to be like this is because, you know, people used to discriminate. People